So I had you read some John Dewey, and he says that art shouldn't be restricted to the, um, I guess, the powerful, the rich, the wealthy, those who have the education to enjoy art. And I was just wondering if you've ever been like me and you find yourself that you're not smart enough to enjoy art. I don't know if while we've been looking at things um, this semester, you've gone, I just don't get this. Why don't I just get like it's not bad, but I just don't get this. I don't understand why that's great. Whether it's like personally, I don't understand the paintings of Mark Rothko. I don't get them. I don't understand why people like them. I don't understand why people think they're great. If you forget, let me pull them up, right? I call them colored squares. Um, let me just quickly share this, right? There's just kind of squares. Fantastic. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And it seems inaccessible to me, right? And Dewey was saying that sort of thing. Of course, Dewey's 1930s, 1920s, and Rothko 1950s, 1960s. But Dewey's arguing like that's not a thing of that's a thing that's like an art object, but it's not a thing of beauty. And we need to not elevate art objects, right? Things that are created for the sense of being hung in a museum is kind of how he would phrase it. We need to create things that express and show beauty, and we need to be able to recognize the beauty that is in our world, our everyday lives. So as I had you read the other day, you have this understanding that um, the sunset is gorgeous. The other day, my Facebook was flooded with pictures of sunsets. They fail to live up to kind of my standard of art, but I feel terrible if I said those weren't beautiful. Does that make sense? Like, we need to be willing to say, no, that's beautiful. It might not be high art, but we ought not to be pretentious about it. We ought to be able to say, okay, so yes, in that photograph, the composition, the framing, where things are, the shutter speed, the aperture, all this stuff, right, wasn't the best for this picture. We need to be able to say that the technique was wrong. We need to be able to say that um, the way that they're approaching it shows a lack of creativity and understanding. It's like everyone taking pictures of the blue bridge downtown. Who cares, right? But there's something like heartwarming after I lived out of Grand Rapids for a few years and I went and walked downtown and walked across the blue bridge for the first time again, right? In years, right? Because it's that nostalgia, it's that rooting to a place of home. And that's kind of what Dewey is getting at with beauty. You need to understand that there are things that are beautiful that aren't art. And we need to not try to capture those things that are beautiful as art, but we need to educate those who are engaging with beauty in the world, which is everyone, according to Dewey. And we need to educate them to see the beautiful in the world and to understand why there's something absolutely gorgeous about, I don't know, dew on grass with that morning light just coming in just right, or beauty in a storm, or I don't know if there's ever been that time where you've just been walking around and just how the right light reflects off of a building or something like that just kind of stops you for a second, right? We need to be looking for that. And so in art and experience, Dewey is saying we need to understand that art isn't a static object that we put on the wall. It's not something that we can, beauty is not something that we just capture, slap on the wall and say it's there. Or beauty is not the painting, beauty is not the sculpture. Beauty is our experience of, or the beautiful can be found in our experience of the sculpture and of the painting. So if you ever seen the lines of people trying to see Mona Lisa, right? And you look at, let's see if I can find a picture real quick. Let me share this real quick. Right. That's not a beautiful experience where everyone's just kind of crowded around. I don't want that. Right. It's one of the reasons why my wife and I haven't gone to Art Prize this week. It's not that we're against the stuff that's at Art Prize. It's the experience of being around that many people in confined places just doesn't do really well for us. It's an anxiety producing experience instead of an experience that allows us to understand and get into the beauty of the pieces and to experience them. There's an argument inside of the art world of should you touch or go between sculptures? So like the Calder, should you climb on it? Right, the Grande Vitis down at Calder Plaza. Should you crawl on it? Should you walk through it? Should you walk under it? And a lot of people say no, that's sacred space. That's that statue spot. We need to view it from a spot that the artist wants us to view it from. Where Dewey would say there's something great about walking around and in and through a piece of art like that and experiencing it from all different angles and seeing, feeling it. I'm gonna exclude taste there because that's gross. Seeing and feeling that sort of sculpture and experiencing all of the parts of it instead of just like, here's the optimal viewing spot, look at it from here, just see it there. If you're down there off to, I think it's the south away kind of from the buildings on the plaza called Calder Plaza, there is a miniature version for the visually impaired. And it's kind of interesting to run your hands kind of over it and kind of experience the Calder that way. Also, there's a tiny one on top of, I think, the Chase building. But there's something about that experience that we should be going after. I often think of a scene in The Office when thinking about art where Pam Beasley, the receptionist, wants to be an artist and goes to art school and has her first kind of showing with the school. And two people come through, Oscar and his boyfriend. And his boyfriend talks about just how kind of elementary and pedantic and just kind of blah, generic her work is. And Michael comes in later and falls absolutely in love with it because he knows the artist and he knows who did it, and like it's their building that she painted, right? drawing into the piece instead of like trying to keep ourselves kind of away and being like, ah, yes, this is a contemplation of man's desire to overcome his subjectivity. And you're like, it's a couple of squiggly lines, right? Hopefully this somewhat resonates with you, that art shouldn't be just this dense, I can't get into it thing. Some of the music we listen to, some of the things we watch, you go, ah, I know I should really like it. It's critically acclaimed. It's said that it's artistically wonderful, but I can't get into it. I can't experience it. And what's the point of art if you can't experience the beauty of it?